Yes, we're here taking books, no problem.
I got some store credit. That's community.
Hi, I'm Sock Marionette, doing business as bargain counter argument. I'm a middle-aged lady in a tiara, running some bookish errands. That's why I'm in my car. I just returned some library books. I filmed a YouTube short subject about that, a YouTube short. And I was returning some library books on behalf of my mom. I am actually in East Lyme, Connecticut, and I am about to go to the Niantic section of East Lyme, Connecticut to go to the book barn. I went a few weeks ago, the beginning of December, somewhere along the line. What happened was several months ago, my mom cleared out her books and her CDs, and they were stacked up in the office for a while, and then we moved them out to the sunroom, and then they were just kind of taking up space. So I put them in my car in the trunk to take them to Book Barn. Then I went to Book Barn, and it was actually too cold because Book Barn, their receiving area for used books is outside. So if it's too cold or it's raining or it's snowing, then they don't do that because they don't want their employees to, be out in extreme weather. And so I got there and I hadn't really thought about that. So they were not taking used books. So I bought a bunch of books, but I didn't drop any off. I was filming in a parking lot. I get distracted easily. So I bought some used books, but I didn't actually get my trunk unloaded. And that stuff has been taking up space in my trunk for several weeks now, about a month, I guess. And I just did a footage of it, but it's so bright, I'm not sure if it came out. It might be too shaky or something. So yeah. So, but I called this morning before I left the house and they were like, yes, we're here taking books, no problem. And so that's what I'm about to do. And there was also something else I was going to do that day, but I couldn't because my phone's battery died because it turned out that I needed to replace the battery. So I might be able to do that today. I'm not sure. I might just want to drop the stuff off and jump into my car, spin a donut in their parking lot, punch the accelerator, and get the heck out of there and go home. We shall see. So this is the state of my trunk. And this bag, these two bags, and that box are all going to Book Barn, and they've all been hanging out in my trunk for over a month now, I think, or just about a month. So I'm looking forward to unloading them. Okay, one last clip in Niantic. I did pick up a few books, but my battery's starting to run low, so I am going to record about that at home. I'm actually at the Hole in the Wall beach parking lot, and I went I went out to the beach and just took a few minutes of footage, just a couple minutes, and so I will try to do a montage with some fun music or something and put that in this video somewhere at the end, maybe, is usually when I do those. I have no idea how the footage looks, again, because it's so bright today. It was hard to tell. So I'll see how it looks when I get home, and maybe this clip will never see the light of day. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Book Barn downtown and take a look. That's where they have science fiction, horror, mystery, thriller, some kids' books. I think they also might have cookbooks down there, and romance. So I'm going to go take a look. Okay, it's a few days after I filmed that last clip, and I am going to do a quick haul of the stuff I picked up in East Lyme and Niantic. I don't really remember what it is because it has actually, as I said, it's been a couple of days, and by a couple I mean 4 or 5. And then after I do the haul, I will show my footage from Hole in the Wall Beach at the end of the video. There's at least one book I'm not going to be talking about because I got it to wrap up as a blind date with a book for my mom, so spoilers. The first thing I did on my trip to Niantic was I stopped at the East Lyme Public Library. Niantic is like a subsection of East Lyme. So I stopped at the East Lyme Public Library to return some books. And while I was there, I went inside the building instead of just using the parking lot book drop because I wanted to use the facilities. And while I was there, they have a table of some books that they've deaccessioned and are selling. Not a full-fledged friend sale, it's just there. So I did pick up a couple of things. One of them was that book I mentioned that was for my mom. And one of them was a novel, Welcome to Night Vale, a novel by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Cranor.
I believe this is based on the podcast, which I have not actually listened to, because when I listen to podcasts, I kind of prefer ones that are just like people talking about history or politics or whatever. I don't necessarily gravitate toward the ones that are, what should we call it, like more narrative, more like radio plays. But I've heard good things about Welcome to Night Vale, and I thought maybe I will read this book as an intro to that world. Okay, then I went to Book Barn to drop off those CDs and things that my mom was looking to get rid of, and I got some store credit, and I did some browsing at the main campus. Like I've said before, Book Barn is divided into 3 parts. There's the main campus where they take in books. That's where they have middle grade, YA, general fiction, some nonfiction, and then there's Book Barn Chapter 3, which is just a stone's throw from the main campus, and that's where they have various nonfiction books. And then there's Book Barn Downtown, which is a couple of miles from the main campus, and that's where they have genre fiction. That's where they have romance, paranormal romance, science fiction, fantasy, mysteries, thrillers, westerns, and the cookbooks and craft books are located there as well as the children's picture books, although they have those at the main campus as well. I think they like to have stuff that's interesting to children at each shop, so that if people bring their kids with them, there's something for the kids to look at and enjoy. So at the main campus, I actually found this large print romance by Jill Shalvis, Playing for Keeps. I recently read her I think this is from 2019. I recently read her book, He Falls First, which is, I think, just from the last year or two. First Jill Shalvis I read. I enjoyed it. So when I saw large print, sometimes I like to read large print because I just don't feel like doing too much work, physical work, when I read. And so I grabbed it. If you're planning on falling in love, you'd better be sure someone is there to catch you. When it comes to the confident, charismatic Caleb Parker, Sadie Lane feels the spark, the kind that comes from rubbing each other the wrong way. She's a tattoo artist, he's a straight-laced mogul. But after they accidentally co-rescue an abandoned dog from a storm, Sadie sees a vulnerable side to the seemingly invincible hottie. Okay. Caleb, hottie, whatever. Caleb doesn't do emotions. Growing up the underdog, he's learned the hard way to build up an impenetrable wall. Perfect for business, disastrous for relationships. He's never worried about it before, not until he finally gets behind Sadie's armor and begins to fall. Both guarded and vulnerable, Sadie and Caleb are complete opposites. Or are they? Shocked at their undeniable connection, can they ever admit to wanting more? That all depends on what they're each willing to risk. Playing for Keeps. And there's the puppy. There's a good boy. There's a good boy or girl. They also have a section where they have like the new arrivals, because that's where they take in the books. And they have the new arrivals, and then they also have like little sections. These books are going to be going to Book Barn Downtown. And I found this in going to Book Barn Downtown. This is a thriller by Joyce Carol Oates, Hard Case Crime, which is a fun... that's a fun imprint that I enjoy. I have a fair number of books from that. And this is actually not just Joyce Carol Oates' Hard Case Crime, but it's actually an advanced review copy. The Triumph of the Spider Monkey. I may have read this in an anthologized version, but I'm not sure. This abandoned as a baby in a bus station locker, shuttled from one abusive foster home and detention center to another, Bobby Gottison grew up angry, hurt, and damaged. His hunger to succeed as a musician brought him across the country to Hollywood, but along with it came his seething rage, his paranoid delusions, and his capacity for acts of shocking violence. Unavailable for 40 years, The Triumph of the Spider Monkey is an eloquent, terrifying, heartbreaking exploration of madness by one of the most acclaimed authors of the past century. Yeah, I haven't read this. Copyright 1974-1977, and this is a reissue from about 2019. Okay, sure, you bet, why not? And then I also found this book, The Binding by Bridget Collins, which is a pretty cover. And it's the tagline is, "Imagine you could hide a secret forever." And I think this is paranormal fantasy. Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books, and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary, a memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it, and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then one day, Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name in it. 438 pages, and it is copyright 2019. Okay, and in my quest to have trade paperback copies of the Dark Tower series, I have 1 through 4. I now have the Dark Tower 6, The Song of Susanna, and this is got the illustrations in it. Let's see if I can find one that... There's a nice one. I've already read The Dark Tower. And then the final book, The Dark Tower 7, which is simply called The Dark Tower. I've read the entire series probably about 3 times now, and I just wanted my own copy. This one is also, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Illustrated. I'm looking at an illustration and going, oh, what do you call this one? And that looks like he's the walking dude from The Stand, because there's a certain amount of intertextuality going on there where they connect into a sort of shared universe. But you don't have to read these books to read The Stand, and you don't have to read The Stand to read these books. And let's see. I also picked up Lassiter by J.R.R. Ward. Another quest I have is to get Black Dagger Brotherhood in hardback. So we're moving toward that. And I got a Love Spell. These are kind of sort of paranormal, sort of not, from the early 90s. This is from 1995. Forever, it's from the sub-series called An Angel's Touch, Forever Angels, by Trina Mae Simmons. Where angels go, love is sure to follow. Tess Foster had everything: a brilliant career, a rich fiancé, and a glamorous life. Then her boyfriend demanded she sign a prenuptial agreement. The thoroughly modern lawyer thought she'd lost her happiness forever until her guardian angel sneezed and blew her back in time. The next thing Tess knew, she was still a woman of the 90s, but she was living in the 1890s. At first, Tess couldn't believe her senses. After all, no real man could be as handsome as the cowboy who rescued her from the Oklahoma wilderness. And Tess had never tasted sweeter ecstasy than she found in Stone Chisholm's kisses. But before she would surrender to the paradise in Stone's arms, Tess had to make sure that her bumbling guardian angel didn't sneeze again and ruin her heaven-sent love. Ooh. Time to get him some Flonase, or the guardian angel, I mean, needs some Flonase. And then that's the only mass market I picked up. They're only like $1 there. And then I also got, this is kind of fun because I have been participating in, a couple of friends are doing like an Anne of Green Gables read along throughout the year. And I think this January we did Anne of the Island, which was actually the first Anne of Green Gables book that I ever read. And then next we're doing, what is it? Anne of the Cypresses, or Cypress Hill, or Cypress Hill. Anne is insane in the membrane. Poplars. Anne of the Windy Poplars. Cypress. But I found this book, Anne of Manhattan, and that is a modern retelling of Anne of Green Gables, called Anne of Manhattan. I'll have to check and see if my friends have actually read it, and this is what it says specifically. After an idyllic girlhood in Avonlea, Long Island, okay, Anne has packed up her trunk, said goodbye to her foster parents, Marilla and Matthew, and moved to the Isle of Manhattan for grad school. Together with her best friend, Diana Barry, she's ready to take on the world and find her voice as a writer. When her longtime arch rival Gilbert Blythe shows up at Redmond College for their final year, Anne gets the shock of her life. Gil has been in California for the last 5 years since he kissed her during a beach bonfire, and she ghosted him. Now the handsome man is flashing his dimples at her like he hasn't a care in the world, and she isn't buying it. Paired with the same professor for their theses, these two former competitors come to a grudging peace that turns into something so much deeper and sexier than either intended. But when Gil seemingly betrays her to get ahead, Anne realizes she was right all along. She should never have trusted Gilbert Blythe. While Gil must prove to Anne that they're meant to be together, she must come to terms with her old fears if she wants a happily ever after with the boy she's always secretly loved. So this seems like it is actually, in fact, based on Anne of the Island, and which is the one I read, so that helps. Copyright 2021, and it is about 320 pages. And then the other book I got was for when I do a seasonal read I'll have to look up when it is exactly, sometime in late October or November, mostly November, I think. Holly Jolly Diwali. I don't know when Diwali is this year, but like I said, I will look it up and find out. Maybe I'll even remember to put a little text on the screen. It is copyright 2021, and it is 315 pages. One type A data analyst discovers her free-spirited side on an impulsive journey from bustling Mumbai to the gorgeous beaches of Goa and finds love waiting for her on Christmas morning. So it's a holly jolly Diwali and Christmas. 29-year-old Nikki Randhawa has always made practical decisions. Despite her love for music and art, she became an analyst for the stability. She's always stuck close to home in case her family needed her, and she's always dated guys that seem good on paper rather than the ones who give her butterflies. When she's laid off, Nikki realizes that being practical hasn't exactly worked out for her. So for the first time ever, she throws caution to the wind and books a last-minute flight for her friend Diwa's wedding. Nikki arrives in India just in time to celebrate Diwali, the Festival of Lights, where she meets London musician Samir Mukherjee. Perhaps it's the splendor of Mumbai or the magic of the holiday season, but Nikki is immediately drawn to Sam. At the wedding, the champagne flows and their flirtatious banter makes it clear that the attraction is mutual. When Nikki and Sam join Dia, her husband, and their friends on a group honeymoon, that's community. Their connection grows deeper. Free-spirited Sam helps Nikki get in touch with her passionate and creative side and with her Indian roots. And when she gets a new job offer back home, Nikki must decide what she wants out of the next chapter of her life, to cling to the straight and narrow like always, or to take a leap of faith and live the kind of bold life which the old Nikki never would have dreamed. Holly Jolly Diwali. So looking forward to reading that in the fall. So those are the books I picked up at Book Barn, and like I said, I will be showing the footage from Hole in the Wall Beach at the end of the video, which is pretty much right now. So thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed what you saw here, then please like, comment, share, subscribe, or don't. I am not the boss of you, and I hope you have a good day or night.